Welcome to Fit Club Vegas, the ultimate fitness destination for visitors. Drop in for a day pass and experience our 10,000 square foot fitness playground. At Fit Club, you'll find state-of-the-art equipment and a sound system so good you'll pitch your headphones. Conveniently located 7 to 12 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, Fit Club is a perfect spot for you to come get your pump while visiting Sin City. So come check us out at 4525 West Hacienda, Las Vegas, Nevada. Fit Club Vegas, more than a gym, it's a vibe.
Pacific West Injury Law. Injured? Call 602-HURT. Car accident? Call 602-HURT. Our firm is dedicated to you and your recovery.
Good. Yoda's in the house. You probably haven't heard that in a while.
I probably heard it too many times.
Oh, really?
Years,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard that one for quite some time. Yeah. So that's a pretty cool way to start a podcast with you gentlemen.
You know what's funny? I used to wonder, okay, why do they call him Yoda? But I figured it out. I mean, this was back before people really knew a lot about your background.
It wasn't something I called myself, I can assure you, because I probably would have
Who started it?
I don't, just athletes back in Wales, you know. I started coaching probably when I was about 21, 22, just innocently coaching. And I think I was very fortunate to innocently see success with the athletes over a period of time. And I think that, you know, people gravitate and you innocently get exposure. And back in the UK, it was very different then compared to obviously some other countries, you know, the US, for example. And I think that, you know, the name just
That was what was lingering around the gyms out there, huh?
Yeah, that was a sort of name which gravitated. And first of all, I didn't like it. I was like, guys, I know I don't look that great, and I know I don't look young. Unfortunately, Botox wasn't around back then.
Yeah, they're calling you Yoda at 21.
Yeah, but they call him Yoda for his abilities.
It was like the wise one.
Yeah, like okay. You know, he can make things happen, you know?
Well, I think we try to make things happen.
Yes.
Sometimes it goes in your face.
Talk a little bit about Wales. Give me some, like, a break, because people don't understand. I've been there, so I want, you know, it's a pretty interesting place. And who are some of the greats that come from Wales?
Some of the greats?
Besides yourself.
So Paul Grant was a very iconic athlete back in the day, starred in Pumping Iron.
Yeah, remember.
And, you know, when I first started bodybuilding, I was introduced to Pumping Iron and realized obviously there was a gentleman in this documentary was from Wales. He had actually a gym in a city called Swansea. So there was Paul. There was another athlete who was absolutely incredible. He really could have made it in the pro ranks. His name was Grant Thomas. And Grant was just one of those athletes which just had that incredible genetic ability. And I just think that maybe his success came pretty quick. I think he probably needed some individuals which were able to sort of nurture him and sort of like give him guidance. Obviously, Flex Lewis. Yep. You know, Flex is probably the most successful athlete ever to come out of Wales. I think, you know, the depth of Wales and Welsh bodybuilding when I started and before I started training was very, very, very high. When you actually think that Wales itself as a country is very small. And a lot of people still, when you say, I'm from Wales, and they'll say, Wales? And I'll say, yeah, I'm from the UK. Oh, you're English. It's like, no, I'm Welsh. You know, I'm Welsh.
What is the difference for those that are ignorant to the UK?
Excuse my language. If you're Welsh, you're fucking proud to be Welsh. You're not English, right? You're like, no, we're not English. Just think of Braveheart and we don't like the English.
The English.
Yeah. It's not really like that. But what you'll find is rugby is a very, very historic, passionate sport back in the UK. So, you know, Welsh rugby, English rugby, Scottish and Irish, and the same for football. People are very prideful of the sports that they do. So you'll find that from Wales, because it's such a small country, and if you ever have the ability and you're fortunate enough to represent your country or your county or your state in some way, that's a big, big honor, to be honest with you. So I think that what happens is that depending on the reach and exposure of the sport or what you do as a profession will also impact the respect that you get from a chosen field. And, with bodybuilding, it's a very small sport, right? So it didn't really get a lot of exposure. But what it did do in Wales, because the depth of talent in Wales was so high, when Welsh athletes went to the British finals, which would take place once a year, the Welsh athletes would always place incredibly well. Because it was just really strange to think that how could the depth be so high in such a small country when you associate it in the whole of the UK? And I suppose you could probably elaborate that a little bit. Like if you're into rugby, then the All Blacks from New Zealand have nearly dominated rugby for nearly forever. Of course, there's success in from time to time in Australia and South Africa, the same as maybe Wales or England, for instance. But I got exposed to bodybuilding very instantly when I was 19 years of age. And I know you asked me the question about, okay, so what other Welsh bodybuilders have been fortunate to get limelight or success or see, progression? There is a vast amount of people, but I think the people that I've just mentioned are the ones which have really sort of got the biggest exposure in the industry over, a period of time.
Flex for sure.
Yeah, Flex for sure. Yeah, and he is incredibly proud to be Welsh, incredibly proud. And he also comes from a very strong heritage of rugby. He was a very, very, very high-level rugby player, as well as his brother. Brother had captained the Welsh team multiple times, his brother Luke. So I think, with Flex being successful in rugby, coming from a rugby heritage and bodybuilding as well, there's a crossover with other sports because rugby players, football players, other sports, they do some form of weight training. So what you'll find is that if somebody is fortunate to see some form of success in bodybuilding, they tend to have a lot of respect from other sports because in some way, at some point, they're going to do some form of fundamental or foundation training in a gym environment.
Did you play rugby?
I played rugby for a number of years. I'm not somebody who's going to say that I excelled in something that I didn't because, guys, I'm really dyslexic, so I have really bad dyslexia. So there's an element of me which had like major difficulties and disabilities. So I was always an overachiever in the things that I could do because emotionally I felt I needed to be good at the things I could do because there was areas of my life that I struggled in. I was good at rugby, but I didn't have the passion to push upon it and, go to another level because there were other sports that interested me more. I was always in the school rugby team. I excelled in that team, in that position, but I never had the interest to push it any further because there was something which was drawing me, to other sports and other avenues more than the rugby lifestyle.
What do most of people do in Wales? I mean, it's a small community, right? I mean, when I visit there, like it seems like country roads and there'll be a gym. That To me, that seemed like what it was because it seemed like the supplement stores were like, that's what it was. It was like you go down these back roads and then there's a supplement shop. So like, what's the community like there?
I think I don't know what it's like now because I've lost touch a little bit. And it's not personal.
Was your dream to get out of there, though?
No, it wasn't. I think everything I'm doing currently and have been for quite some time, it just innocently happened. Now, don't think that I'm not somebody who doesn't strive and have goals because I am. I'm very self-driven. I'm very self-motivated. If something I find is a struggle for me, it tends to motivate me either in that area or it motivates me in another path that needs my attention. But I think what happened is that the transition from being an athlete to go into coaching, to be fortunate to see success with international athletes, you get exposed, right, throughout the magazines. And I didn't think that was ever going to happen. It wasn't something that I was aiming for. Social media wasn't around back then, Jay. So it wasn't as if I was wanting that attention on social media or likes and everything. Like when you think about when you first stepped on stage or when you first stepped into a gym environment, there was something that drew you. It wasn't the limelight. It was like the personal progression of maturity and seeing the evolution and how can you change. And then at some point you might think, hey, I want to compete. And maybe your idea at the time was just to compete, step on stage and see if you can be competitive against your fellow athletes. And you might say, Neil, to be honest with you, I was always competing against myself. But I think that what I'm trying to say is I think at different times in our lives, we're innocently doing something because it draws the best out of you in an innocent way. And with me, with the coaching side, there was a transition when I said, I'm gonna be a full-time coach.
I know, but you were a good bodybuilder.
Yeah,
so talk a little bit about your career. So people don't know like how successful you were. Some of your titles, like major titles.
All right, take two. Hey guys, if you have not heard, I've launched my own TRT clinic. TRT Kingdom is now live. And if you'd like to schedule on consult or get more information, make sure you guys go over, check it out, and let us see how we can help with your health needs.
Click the link below.
Shit.
Say click the link below.
Okay. Click the link below.
So junior Welsh title,
Junior
back in Wales, intermediate Welsh championships winner, under 80 kilo and overall Welsh champion, under 90 kilo overall Welsh championships. That would be the equivalent to IFBB Pro League. And then in 2002, I won the Open Wales. Now, the Open Wales was a show that got introduced maybe into the UK, maybe in like 1997, 1998 by Paul Grant. He was the president of Wales. He wanted to put a show on, which was an open invitation to any athlete in the world. Didn't matter where you lived, didn't matter what federation. There was one winner, and there was a pro card. The only other show that you could win a pro card in the UK with was winning the overall British title.
And that's how Dorian Yates won.
That's how Dorian Yates won. Yeah. So what happened in 2002, because I'd won the Welsh Championship as my weight division and the overall multiple times.
And what was your weight division at that time?
Well, when I turned pro, I was light heavyweight.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a light heavyweight. So
and you turned pro before they were handing the cards out. Like you had you would the hard way in Europe.
Maybe the show that I won was maybe harder than winning the British, and the reason I say that is that there's only one winner of the British. You have to win your weight class, and then the overalls compete against each other. All right. So anybody who's got that real depth of talent, they're going to put themselves in a position where they say, right, I have an opportunity to win a pro card as well. It's either winning the overall British or it's winning the overall Open Wales. The thing is with the overall Open Wales is you can pretty much guarantee any major player who had the ability to win the British overall is going to do the Welsh Championships the week before, the Open Welsh. But it was also open to everyone in any country. Yeah. So you would have like 5-time world champions step on stage. You would have athletes competing from
other countries.
Yeah. So that was a show that I did. But the thing is, I wish I didn't do what I did, because I had this goal in my mind to do something that never been done before. Obviously, I was an amateur, okay? What happened is that when I was an amateur athlete, I would go to the major shows. I would go to the pro shows as well. Like Kerry Kays was the promoter of Incredible, right? Absolutely. You know, he had a major impact on me. Kerry did, for many reasons.
A lot of people, bro.
The industry in the UK owes a great deal to him.
And, you know, he flew me over for the first time in 2000 when I did the English Grand Prix.
So you.
And he paid, I was 8th at the Olympia that year, and he said, I'll pay for you and Chris Aceto to fly over and compete. Yep. And I was able to go, and I got second to Ronnie, and that's where I get my confidence and my momentum to stand next, because there was like no one in between from the Olympia came, so it was just me, and I fell to second to Ronnie, right? Yep. And that's where I actually got to stand and actually critique the physique next to him, so it was a huge advantage for me, but he always was great to me, Kerry Kays.
Was that show in Manchester?
I believe it was.
I saw you. I was in that show. I was at that show, and I don't want to bet on the posing trunks. For some reason, I think you had blue or red posing trunks.
It was green.
Was it green? Okay, well, I'm wrong then. I'm colorblind.
So you just guessed.
No, because I was there with that show, and that's why I said, was it Manchester?
So Kerry helped you. He was big. I mean, he was huge in the industry. I mean, he started Dorian Yates' original line.
Yep.
And what did he do for you that was so like life-changing?
Okay, so what happened is that I was always very passionate about bodybuilding. I competed, and at the time I was competing as well. So, but then I wanted to put shows on. So what I did is I reached out to the Federation, IFBB Pro League, Paul Grant, and asked Paul, could I put a show on in my hometown? I wouldn't compete in the show.
Which is where?
Wales in Tenby. It's a tiny little seaside village in the middle of nowhere, but it's absolutely beautiful, right? So I said, I want to put a show on, but I want to put prize money in the show. And Paul, I had a very, very close relationship with Paul. And Paul said, no problems, that's fine. I don't want a sanction fee. I'll sanction it. It's going to be under our umbrella. So what I did is I incentivized the athletes to compete because the show was in the middle of nowhere by prize money. So what I did is I reached out to some very high-level amateurs who were doing really well at the time. There's a gentleman called Steve Avery. He won the British overall. Sorry, he won the British junior. He won the intermediate British. He was a 3-time light heavyweight British champion. And Steve was very iconic in the industry. And I didn't know him. And I introduced myself to him at a show that he was guest posing up in England, Paula Birkinshaw. And Paula back in the day, she was a bodybuilder. She was incredible, right? You remember her, right?
She's one that caused the ruckus at the Olympia that year, right?
That's right.
Flipped off the judges or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But she was good, right?
Yeah.
She was incredible. She was ahead of her time, I think, right? And so Steve was guest posing. So I introduced myself and said, hey, would you be interested in coming down and compete in my show? And Steve said to me, if you pay my expenses and you pay this, then I consider it. I said, look, I'm not in a position to do that, Steve. But listen, you have the ability to win 1,500 UK pounds, which back then was quite a lot of money. Because I put maybe I put 8,000 or 9,000 or 10,000 pounds back. I had no benefit from it. But because I had great rapport with companies outside of the industry and in the industry, when I asked these people and the individuals that I knew on a business level, hey, would you sponsor my show? They were doing it because they just wanted to help me. So I had a lot of talent come down and compete. So before this, I reached out to Kerry, managed to get his number, introduced myself and said, Kerry, you don't know me, etc. My name is Neil Hill, etc. Would you be interested in sponsoring my show? But he sponsored nearly everything. I said, but I don't want anything from you. I just want to put down that you are the main sponsor of my show because CNP Nutrition carried a lot of credibility. And he said, yeah, of course I will, of course I will. I said, and an investor said, I don't want any money. I just want to be able to say, you're my main sponsor and I'll put you everywhere. And he said, okay. He said, what we'll do then is I'll send down my CMP team for that area to come down and support the show. These people I didn't really know, but I do remember it was Sati, Bolton. Oh my God. I'll come back to her partner's name at the time in a minute because I'm just trying to think. But they came down to represent the company. And from that moment, I built a really good rapport. You know, sometimes you just meet people and they're just really good people. And they were like really overwhelmed with the talent, the setup of the show. And it was a massive success. It was a huge success. And the show made money, but I always put the money back into the athletes. So I didn't make any money. The more money that came in, the more I could give out in prize money. So even though the prize money was stated what they were going to win, I gave them more. And also what I used to do as well is the athletes who did my show, they didn't qualify for the Welsh Championships. They had to do the Welsh Championships in order to do the British Championships, you had to be in the top 3 of the British Championships. What I said was for those athletes which are now going to go on to the Welsh Championships, if you qualify, I will give you money to go towards your expenses for the British Championships. So that took place, and I ran that show for a number of years. I'd never met Kerry face-to-face in a proper conversation. Let's fast forward now. And then I compete 4 weeks later in the Welsh Championships. And, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of his name. Something Bolton. Sati Bolton. It'll come back to her husband. They were at the Welsh Championships because they were a sponsor in the show. I was getting ready for the British Championships, and it was the first time that they saw me. And then they phoned Kerry and said, hey, we found the British champion here already who's going to win the British Championships. And I was a middleweight bodybuilder at the time. But in that particular show that I qualified, going into the British Championships 4 weeks later, there were 2 athletes which really were the front runners. A gentleman called John Hodson. So John was a 3-time, at the time he was a 2-time middleweight British champion. He was the manager for CMP for Kerry Case. And there was a gentleman called Mike King, who was a 3-time short class professional NABA champion, universe champion. He was going to go from NABA to compete in the IFBB for the very first time. So all the conversation was based around John being a defending champion and Mike. Well, fast forward, I win the Welsh Championships as a under 80 kilo. I win the overall, and then I step on stage 4 weeks later and battle against these two guys. I came third in that division, and that's the first time that I had met face-to-face with Kerry. And that's when I had a personal relationship with him. And we always stayed in touch. And because I used to love giving back to the industry and putting on shows, he would always support my show, but he never gave me money. He always wanted to, and I never wanted any money from Kerry. But then what happened, let's fast forward 2 years later, when I compete then as a light heavyweight, I won the light heavyweight division in the Wales. I won the overall Wales. Then I win the open Wales, all in the same show. Kerry said he wanted to sponsor me. And he wanted me to do the British Grand Prix, which was 12 weeks later. But in my mind, I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do is win the Open Wales, turn down my pro card, compete in the British Championships 4 weeks later, win the light heavyweight division, win the overall, win my pro card, turn it down, compete then 8 weeks later in the British Grand Prix. It was an invite only for the amateurs. You had to be in the top three of your division, in the amateur division. And I wanted to do the amateur division, win that, and then take my pro card and then step on stage 2 hours later. That's what I wanted, because it'd never been done before.
Yeah.
But it'd never been done, and I knew I could do that. But what happened is that when I won the Open Wales, I was not going to take my pro card. And Kerry said, listen, because it was the first time, it was actually the second time he saw my physique. He saw me as a middleweight. He said, we want to sponsor you. Really like what you look like. I'll send you pictures overseas. Like Lee Labrad is not there anymore. Like, you've got this physique,
You're
here,
shredded, right? Yeah.
I was ridiculously conditioned, and I was complete, because I always trained for symmetry and shape and conditioning. And I said, well, I don't really want to take the pro card, because this is what my goal is. And he said, well, Neil, I believe that you can do this, but what happens if you don't? What happens if the last show, it doesn't go your way? It's like, and I felt like a little bit of pressure. He did say there is no pressure. I want to sponsor you whatever you do. And back then there was only like 3 or 4 athletes within that CMP team. And back then, if you can think about it, Jay, I'm sure it was a very memorable moment in your life and your profession, not just the accolades and the titles and everything, when you became a weeder athlete, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it was like for me. I'm sponsored by CMP. Like, there's 3 or 4 of us in the whole of the UK which is sponsored. It was the cream of the cream. It was such a big thing, and I knew that Kerry sponsored me because of my physique, not because of me giving back to the industry. Yeah. Because I was never arrogant with my physique, but I could see my physique in the mirror, And what motivated me, or what drove me, is I never liked competing because I didn't like being center of attention. What I got drawn to is, if I was watching a show and in the audience and you guys were competing, I'd be like, fuck, these guys look incredible. How good am I compared to these? It was never like, I've got to beat these guys. It's more like, how good am I? Because if this person and this person is really drawing my attention, and I step away from this and I'm driving home, you would have noticed this. How many times have you gone to shows as a spectator and you walk away and you think, that guy, man.
Every show.
Every show, right? And it might even be somebody that you'll never compete against because it's a totally different division. But somebody, like, you gravitate to somebody. That's what I got drawn to work hard to see how good am I next to this athlete or these athletes which really inspire me. That's what I competed for. And the learning and the process and the discipline and just like the attention to detail, that's what really drew me as an athlete to compete. And I felt pressurized to take the pro card. And then I took the pro card, and I wish I didn't. Now, I did compete 12 weeks later then in the British Grand Prix.
Who'd you stand next to?
Dexter Jackson. Yeah. And yet that was his first pro win. And I can remember being backstage, looking in the mirror, and Dexter coming up to me. And Dexter at the time was an underrated athlete. It was like, should have placed better, should have placed better, should have placed better. And then he gets his break. He wins the British Grand Prix. And I can remember posing in the mirror and him complimenting me on my conditioning. And that was a little bit emotional.
Would he remember you?
I got pictures of me and him together. And I brought this up on a couple of occasions. Yeah. Now, Chris Chris Camille was the favorite going into it, but Chris was out partying. You know, the week before. Yeah. So Chris was the favorite going into this, but Chris was off. He was off by a good deal. 2002. Yeah, Wembley, 2002 Wembley. It was an amazing experience for me. The final 24 hours didn't go well for me because I always coached myself. I never was coached by anybody.
I was going to ask you where you get your eyes from.
Yeah, I think I was always able to see myself. And I think what was a learning curve for me, it was the second show I ever did. And I remember doing my first show. I'd only been training 12 weeks, didn't really know what I was doing. I was an international swimmer for many years. So I had a very athletic, strong background, swam for Wales for many years. I surfed at a high level. I did freestyle BMX. I was one of the first riders in the UK to be sponsored by an American company back in the day, years and years ago. But there was no skate parks back where I was. I did my first show after 12 weeks of training. I was 127 pounds on stage. I was 9 stone 3, guys.
So
9 stone
exercise.
3. Yeah, 9 stone 3. Fast forward maybe.
That's even smaller than Dexter.
So this fast forward, like 4 or 5 months later, I put all this weight on. I think I'm big now. And I can remember my mum tanning me for my first show, right? And she's tanning me and she's been giving me compliments because she's my mum. But she tans me for my second show. And I can remember her tanning me. I can remember she said to me, "Are you sure you should be doing this show?" And I said, "What do you mean? Are you sure I should be doing this show? Well, you look a bit different to the last one." I said, "Yeah, because I'm big now, Mum." I wasn't big. I was a fat bastard, wasn't I? So what happened?
Were you 140 then?
Yeah, probably 140 then. I probably was, but 10 pounds of body fat. And I can remember stepping up backstage, really confident, and then seeing the guys strip off. And I could see how good they were. I was thinking of every excuse not to step on stage. Honestly, guys, I was thinking of every excuse. And I can remember I came second from last. And you know when you're that bad, because not even your friends want to clap in your audience. That's what it was like.
I have those pictures.
No, I don't have pictures. And even
yes,
if I
you do.
did,
We have them.
That's like me taking a picture of what I look like now.
Listen, if anyone out there has those pictures, please DM them.
Yeah. So that was my wake-up call. That was a wake-up call for me to realize. And I didn't diet because I just thought I'm big now, right? So I was able to see myself very clearly in the mirror. But there was a couple of shows that I probably over-dieted. I thought I was carrying a little bit more fat and I wasn't. It was just water. I hadn't gone through the drying out process. And then let's fast forward to the pro show. What happened in the past, you'd have prejudging, depending on what division you are. And the prejudging to finals might be 10 hours. You have a 10-hour gap. It's not a normal for athletes to compete in prejudging and look better in the evening or later in the day. What happened is because I'd never done a show which was in the evening before, I didn't consider the fact that I'm going to go flat because I should have put fluid back into me and more food. Because in all other shows I'd compete, I would feed up, I would put more water back into myself, maybe anywhere between 1 liter or 2 liters of water between that time frame. What would happen is that I undercarbed and I was too aggressive on the water. It wasn't because it was an aggressive protocol. I should have said to myself, right, okay, Neil, you're stepping on stage 10, 12 hours later than normal. Let's put another liter of water into you. Let's put more food into you. Let's do a dummy run where you do you're doing a dummy prejudging on yourself, and then you eat up and hydrate up for the finals, which would have been later in the evening. So what happened is I stepped on stage and I was so flat. Now people say you wasn't flat, man. You were shredded. It was like, no, I'm super flat because on my twisting shots, normally on my twisting shots, my lower back, people get folds just on the bottom. There would be no fold on me. Normally it would be like this. And there was a couple of little small folds and I could see how it was flat only from pictures and the video. So when you look at the video, you go, this guy is shredded. Yeah. But if I had thought about the process of I need to put more food in and fluid in, I would have been tighter. Now, after that show, I ate crazy calories and I drank a lot of fluid. And I did something that night, think, well, see what I look like tomorrow morning. I was 2 pounds lighter and my conditioning was scary, absolutely scary. But the moment gone, but it was great because I learned from it, right? But unfortunately for me, even though I was genetically gifted as an athlete to build muscle, When I was born, my right knee, the ligaments were not taut enough. So instead of my knee joint doing this, it used to float. And because I was a swimmer and my main stroke was breaststroke doesn't do this, backstroke, butterfly, front crawl, but breaststroke does this through your hips and knees. So I had a lot of aggressive bone-to-bone contact at such a young age. And when I gave up the other sports, I gave up because of my knee. I started training when I was 19 because I was very small and thin. When I built muscle, my knee became more stable, but the fundamental damage had already been done. And then over a period of time, it wasn't down to bad form or technique. As you put weight on, if you have a lower back issue, have a joint issue, you put more weight on that area becomes more vulnerable. The quality of my life was suffering because my knee was in such a vulnerable position as you add more weight, as you add more muscle. And because I competed and turned pro as a light heavyweight, I probably needed another 10 pound, 14 pound of muscle. And I feel I would have been competitive in the pro ranks. And there was no 202 class back then. There was no 212 class back. There was no classic bodybuilder. I was an open class bodybuilder. I turned pro at about 190, 192. But I really needed to be probably 110, 114. And I feel I would have been very competitive then. And even though back then some people might say, yeah, but the industry had changed. You know, the Leela Bradas and the Sean Rays had gone. I believed in myself. But my body would never have been able to sustain that extra weight in the gym, that extra weight on my body. So I stepped away from bodybuilding competitively in 2003. And it was a very sad time for me, you know, because it was my everything. I was very good at managing and balancing other areas of my life. So when I say it was my everything, I had 2 full-time jobs throughout all of my career as an athlete. I worked at nighttime in a nightclub, anywhere between 6 and 4 nights a week throughout all of my prep months. And then I had a full-time job as a mechanic. I worked with Range Rover and Jaguar. So I probably worked 60, 65 hours a week on average. And some people will say that that's not ideal when you're in an environment to build muscle. But it was what I had to do. I had responsibilities, right? I had to pay my bills.
Do what you have to do.
I did what I had to do. And I enjoyed working because I had my set times to break. And I think that there are some people, what they find is when they don't have set times and they don't have structure, they're more likely to miss things.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So for me, having that 9-to-5 job and having that nighttime job was great because I would just focus and concentrate on mealtime at mealtime. I wouldn't think about bodybuilding until I stepped into the gym. I didn't have to think about bodybuilding other than eat my meal on time, work. I have deliverables. I have family. You know, I have obligations. I have a car loan, you know, I'm a father, and I loved all that. You know, for me, it was great. But when I stepped away from bodybuilding, competing, it was a hard time for me. It was a hard time because I wasn't ready, because in my heart, I knew that I had more. And I stopped training for 6 years because I'm either 100% in or I'm not at all. And then what happened? 12 months later, I met Flex Lewis and I started coaching Flex. Now, I'd already been coaching for many years before that. But
was he your first,
he was my first
known guy
athlete which got international stardom.
Well, I kind of heard the story, like you just grabbed him, he competed at some show and he was with his parents or something. You're like, hey, want to help you or something.
His story's a little bit different to mine.
Oh, okay.
There's similarities. So I was judging. I was a guest star at that show because I turned pro in that show before. So that's so it was September. What happened is in 2002, I win my pro card. I come back the following year as a guest star, and I'd already retired in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I competed in maybe October 2002, 12 weeks after I turned pro. And then it was about May, June is when I decided I'm going to retire in 2003, just because of my knee. I'm then at the show as a guest star at the Welsh Championships 2003, September. I was also judging. And I heard that there were some really good junior athletes competing this year. And you'd hear that from time to time. And I spoke about the talent in Wales when we first obviously did the introduction here. And I said there was a lot of talent. It just seemed like the talent in Wales, it was dissipating for a length of time. It was like, when are we going to get this talent back? And because I'd heard there were some good athletes coming in, and maybe you'd be a little bit disappointed, be like, they're okay, but it's not like it should be. Flex stepped on stage, first ever show. He was a junior bodybuilder, and he also did the first timers, and he was just incredible. I can remember having like my hair on my arms, stand up thinking, this kid's got this magic. He was a body of two halves. He had the legs of a top tier, seasoned amateur, but he had the upper body of a junior. Two halves.
How old was he during this time?
19.
Okay.
But you see, he had that finesse, it's just like shape. So I was judging. I had him first place in his divisions. This was before finals. I go to my car after prejudging, and as I'm walking through the car park, there's a gentleman. His name is Steve Naylor. You guys will have to Google this guy because he competed recently, looked insane. Well, Steve was one of these bodybuilders which was very Arnold-esque, incredible shape, incredible structure, did really well, but never won any major titles because he could never really master his conditioning, right? So Steve was competing in this show, and it was the best I'd seen him. And as I'm walking through the car park, I see Steve and we talk. And I said, Steve, you look great. It's the best I've ever seen you. He goes, oh, thanks. I said, yeah, you look great, man. And he goes, oh, he said, my training partner wants to have a picture with you and an autograph. Is that okay? I went, yeah, of course it is. No problems. And then it was Flex. And I went, you're the junior, right? And he said, yeah, I'm the junior. I said, you look amazing. I said, you're going to be doing the British Championships? He said, oh, no, I'm not doing the British Championships. Now, of course, he hadn't got that invite yet, but I was judging so I could see what the talent. And he said, no, I'm not doing the British Championships. I'm not good in the British Championships. I said, you could win the British Championships. Not looking like that. But if you make the improvements between now and the British, you could win the British Championships. And I said to him, who's coaching you? And he said, nobody. And I said, I'll coach you if you want, but don't waste my time. I said, have a think about it. What I didn't know is I move on, judge at nighttime. Between the prejudging and the finals, him and Steve had spoken, and Steve had said, hey, you really need to work with Neil. So after the show, I'm walking out of the auditorium, the show's finished, and I just happened to see Flex at the same time. And we spoke. I gave him my number. And then 2 days later, he came down to my house. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly.
You know what? When we talk about, I don't know if we would call it, I don't know if it was called a coach back then, but like, Chris Aceto took me on his wing when I was 18 and a half. And I always say, I don't know if I would have been anything if I never met Chris, because he put that diet together. I didn't know how to eat. It was the same thing, right? We don't know how to do. I mean, I was asking around the gym, and once he put a diet together and said, this is what you need to do, and I followed that 6 meals a day, that was like key to me. But today's era, it's like everyone's talking about everyone's coaches. Do you feel the coaches, do you feel the athletes sometimes don't get the credit? Now the coaches get more credit?
I think in some cases, but I think it works both ways, because I think it depends on the client. All right. So if I think back of the clients that I work with over the years, there's some complex.
Did they want to know why when you gave them a diet and changed food, or did they just follow it like a robot?
I think the majority would just follow them as a robot.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it can be positive and can be negative. So what do I mean by that? I think that what happens is, as people go through full-blown contest prep, emotionally, people are not always stable. They make reckless decisions. It's a mental game. And what happens is that a lot of people will just do something the complete opposite to what they should be doing. Now, I'm working with a new client. He filled his questionnaire out. He sent it over to me. I've just wrote his program. And on here, he's already said, he's a hypochondriac. He said, he wrote it, I'm a hypochondriac. All right.
I know, but sometimes that means uncoachable.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So what happened is, he's only on his program for about 3 days. He's, coach, my weight's gone up already. I'm 3 pounds up already. I think we need to go on low carbs. I said, listen, we're 12 weeks out from the show. You're probably 9-10% body fat. You're in a great place. I said, what we need to be mindful is, I've got to make weight with you. And I don't have 20 pounds to take off you. I've got 20 pounds of fat and 20 pounds of water to come off you. But we're 20 pounds over the weight limit. Just leave me do my job. It's okay. Let's stay on the baseline plan at the moment. Let's stay on the baseline plan. Let's see what's happening with the baseline. And then when you check in with me on day 8, because it's supposed to be day 8, you check in on a new plan, then I'll look at the data and I'll decide how we're going to move forward from. Because ideally, I want to feed you into the show. I want you to be a surplus of macronutrients, but I want you in a deficit of calories. And some people, what do you mean? How can you be in a surplus and a deficit? Because to me, and I've always thought of it like this, if I can be in an environment where I'm able to maximize the ability of building muscle, or at least holding on to muscle, nurturing muscle, and keep you in an anabolic state, but I can get you leaner at the same time, I may even possibly be able to grow you into a show. And in order to do that, you have to be in a deficit of calories, but you must be in a surplus of macros in order for you to stay in a high sense of anabolism, right? Now, there's multiple different ways to manipulate anabolism. It's not just foods, etc., right? But if you're going to be manipulating anabolism, you want to try and do it over 24 hours, because if you're in a state of anabolism for 2 hours and then you're in a deficit and you're catabolic for 18 hours, well, that's completely contradicting to what we want, right? It's not sustainable. You're going to lose muscle. So it's to stay on the baseline. Then what happens? Maybe 1 or 2 days later, coach, my weight's come down. I've lost 2 pounds. I've had really good sleep. Everything's cool. Then yesterday he messages me and then he says to me, Coach, my weight's up. We got to go onto low carb. It's up by 3 pounds. I didn't have a good night's sleep. My daughter kept me awake. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, let me just say this to you now. I'm not dealing with a hypochondriac here. I said, so put your big boy pants on. I said, and just follow the plan. I said, you're being completely irrational in this moment in time. I said, because if you just listen to me, if you just listen to what you told me that you had a bad night's sleep, your daughter kept you awake, your weight is up. It's probably because you're holding water. There's nothing to worry about at this moment in time. And what I'm trying to say is that some people emotionally, they're vulnerable, right? So I think what happens is that sometimes coaches don't get the credit they deserve. And then sometimes I think the athletes don't get credit they deserve. I think
tell that guy to take his scale and throw it out the
window. Yeah. And the thing is, but do you know what I like about this athlete? When I jumped on our call originally, when I designed this plan, I can tell I'm going to build a really good relationship with this guy. I can just tell, and it's him probably getting to know my personality and my character, and me getting to know who he is. But his response was really positive. There wasn't a sense of like negativity or pushback. I think even though I was pretty blunt and I was very real, I think he's one of these people which need that as well.
Well, I always said it's a mental game. It's not, people think it's physical, whatever. So who are your top people at the moment? Because you work with a lot of different divisions.
Yeah, and I like.
So you got open, and you do men's physique also.
Yeah, so Brandon Hendrickson.
Okay.
Yeah, so Brandon.
And you do Mike Summerfield.
So Mike Summerfield.
And then Rafael,
Rafael Brando, Alex Cambarero. Yeah. Doing the Masters Olympia.
Recently.
It was good. Yeah. You really, like that. But Jay, I said to you, and I've said to yourself, you're probably the only person in the industry who's kind of intimidated me innocently, because when you look at athletes on stage, you admire what you see because maybe shape, structure. But the thing is with you, it was different because you were the first person to draw the attention of the audience, the spectators, and your fellow athletes on a business level. And I don't know, because I've never had this conversation. I don't think you were doing it because you wanted to inspire others. You had another goal that you wanted to do, right? And I think what's really beautiful about doing something because you love it, it's never about the attention, it's about the passion. So because you were so successful on stage and you were so incredibly successful off stage, you were very, very, very different. And even though I found that very motivational and inspiring, it was you just created dominance and excellence in different areas of the industry which had never been done before. And if there was a poll out there and people would say, who are your favorite all-time athletes? Because you've had just great impressions on them. You've had great impressions when you've met them. You and Ronnie would probably be the top 2 people.
Really?
Because because you're such a nice guy. But you're not trying to, you're just you.
Well, I don't think we ever thought we would be that good.
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest. Like I say this all the time. I never imagined being Dorian Yates status. Like he was the guy when I mean, Haney retired the year I started 91. So I never got to, I feel bad because Haney is like one of the greatest, you know, if not the greatest. You know, I always say Ronnie Coleman is because I feel like he pushed his body to the muscularity and conditioning level that we have never seen.
Yep.
I don't know if you'd agree with that.
No, I agree.
But I wasn't sure how good I would be. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to make a living at this. And that was really important for me.
Yep.
And I was, like we talk about, I was a super introvert. So for me, it was like I was really good at being in the gym and training because like that solitude time, I was okay with it. I wasn't surrounded with social. I didn't need social. Like even now, you know, we train at a super private gym most of the time. We don't need atmosphere because we just love to train, right? It's kind of that mindset. But, you know, some guys they thrive on different things, you know, and that's why like now we have a broad scope of athletes with all these divisions. And like you have to put on a different hat for each one because I'm sure like you write a diet for Rafa versus Brandon Hendrickson, right? Weight caps and when you don't have to do that. But is it trial and error that makes you great at what you do? Like, do you feel like you're still learning with every athlete or do you know down to a science? Like, you know what drives me crazy? Sometimes people come up to me like, I have an expo this coming weekend and they'll be like, so give me your last week of preparation, water, carbs, and like carb depletion, carb loading. And it's like, man, every show is a different variable, you know, it's different variables, right?
Yep.
So like, are you a coach that can say, this is kind of my protocol? Like, do you cut water? Do you taper water? Do you keep water? Or sometimes you like just drink based on how they look?
I think it's going to be different for everybody. I could never give somebody and say, listen, follow this protocol.
Like now, if you said, I'm working a guy for 12 weeks and they say, well, what are we going to do the last week? You don't have that answer, do you?
They check in with you every day.
Okay.
I have pictures. I have pictures and I have it every day and I work off there because I am 100% accessible to all the athletes who compete, no matter whatever athlete. It's not just pros, amateurs. So I have different coaching options. It doesn't make any difference. You have a platinum program, which gives you the most amount of contact with me on a pre-contest, or whether you have gold, silver, or bronze. Peak week is the same for everybody. Because there's no way that I would be able to put my head on pillow, not knowing that I'm absolutely micromanaging everything I need to on that peak week for an athlete. And I don't have a protocol. I have ideals. So what are ideals? Water high, sodium high, and being able to keep that muscle full and make.
I know, but you cut the sodium at the end?
No, not really. I try to keep sodium present as much as I possibly can. But what I will be doing at different phases of pre-contest prep, I'll be manipulating essential minerals and sodium and water at different times to see what type of change I see with the body. But the thing is, you've also got to consider that the look that you're going to attain at 6 weeks out could potentially be different to 4 weeks, because it's not just about glycogen storage. It's not just about body fat percentage. You may have somebody whose thermogenics are through the roof. They're naturally perspiring. You don't necessarily see it, but it's coming off as a means of steam. And they're already in a negative deficit as far as essential minerals are concerned. So, you know, it's also just getting lab work done as well. Just make urine testing when needed, get blood work testing when needed, and then working off those variables. But in an ideal world, I want to try and keep water in as much as I possibly can. If I had an athlete who's 24 hours out from a show and he's hard and dry, I could show you pictures of little Brandon. I call him little Brandon. He's doing the Masters Olympia. He turned pro with me for many, many years ago, didn't compete for about 8 years, and then said, Neil, I want to compete again. I said, right, okay, what division? I thought I'd do classic. And then we did our first show together again for after maybe 8 years and not even working together. He came second against Logan Franklin in one big show. And then he got his qualification this year from winning, what was it last year? Last year, he got his qualification last year from winning a master show. And he's as hard and grainy and dry. He could step on stage now. He's got a little fold of water. So somebody like that, if I was to pull water or I was to pull sodium, he'd probably go flat literally instantly. And I think, not everybody has that ability to get that graininess and that hardness. But in a perfect world, if I can keep water present and keep pushing on that as much as I can, but not over and not over the mark, because if I push too hard in the water, they're probably going to get flat because it's going to naturally act as a diuretic anyway. And the concern is how much essential minerals they're going to lose as far as
what's essential minerals, like what?
So I get it's whether it's zinc, potassium, magnesium, the essential
so you
minerals.
Use supplementation,
okay. And then also when I use salt, I like to use Redmond salt, because Redmond salt is a very, very, very high naturally occurring essential mineral blend. As well as obviously a very high quality bioavailable sodium.
So not like Himalayan pink sea salt.
Problems with pink Himalayan salts, and I've advocated and used these for years. A lot of these companies, it's kind of very false advertising, right? So as long as there's a fraction of that raw ingredient that they're pushing and promoting, the rest could be flakes, they could be fillers to a certain extent, right? So there's some companies which will advertise, hey, this product, and they're pushing whey isolate. But if you actually look at it, it's a blend, and maybe 10% is isolate and the rest is not, right? It's a concentrate.
Proprietary blend.
Proprietary blend, all right? So the problem is with legislation and laws is some of these pink Himalayan salt, but they're flakes. Maybe only 10 or 20% is actually from that high mineral salt, and the rest isn't. And then it becomes lower in its value and its ability to be bioavailable, or what it's going to be able to provide as far as essential minerals. So I like Redmond salt, Redmond real salt it's called. Yeah, it's a very, very high quality sodium. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm putting you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the best? You just said Wales is different from UK, but who's the best bodybuilder that's come from England, UK? Who would you say?
That's got to be, it has to be Dorian Yates.
Yeah, because he's a 6-time winner.
Dorian, because the thing is, Dorian was unique as well, you see. There's a person who, I know I've spoken to Dorian a little over the years. Dorian had a massive impact on me. There's probably 5 different athletes who had different impacts on me in different ways as far as Mr. Olympias. Okay. Dorian had the impact on me because he was so programmed and so regimented.
Did people talk about that? Was there rumblings where you cross?
Completely, because Dorian was nearly inaccessible. He separated himself from the noise, and he was literally
dungeon, right?
Yeah, he appeared to be like a monk, right? And also Kevin Autumn, you must have shot with Kevin lots of times, right?
Yeah.
Well, him and Kevin were really close friends. So of course, over a period of time, you'd hear stories, good stories about Dorian. So what it was with Dorian, I just gravitated to his mindset. Just incredible. Ronnie's ability to build the most amount of conditioned muscle in bodybuilding. Because you were the pinnacle of what I would say professional bodybuilding is on stage and off stage, then I would gravitate to somebody like the lines and the freaky muscle bellies of a Phil Heath, So these Mr. Olympias, they all had something different that I admired. Now, you said about 20 minutes ago, you mentioned Lee Haney. I think what you were saying was you feel that maybe Lee Haney was the greatest. But we look at Ronnie as the greatest because Ronnie built this larger-to-life physique. But with Lee Haney, Lee didn't even come close to his ability because he stepped away at such a young age, right? And if you look at professional bodybuilding and you look at Mr. Olympia, there's very few athletes which actually brought their best ever showing in their last show, and then they stepped away. Lee probably brought his best performance.
Do you think Flex Lewis did too?
Yeah, I do.
That was his best one.
I think that, when Flex won his last Olympia, that was his best ever look. I feel that when Lee Haney won his Mr. Olympia, it was his best look. Innocently, Sean Roden, because unfortunately he wasn't able to compete again. But
that was his best in 2018.
Yeah, I think so.
You thought so? He told me before the show. He's got to see him. He's like
we saw him downstairs, and I went, dude, he's gonna win.
Yeah,
and he's like, he looks.
I just never thought he had the back compared to Phil Heath, but obviously Phil's midsection kind of hurt him that year.
I don't mean to upset the fans. I actually did have Phil winning that. even
There's
though
an argument for it that's fair.
even though that, Phil's midsection wasn't as controlled as it could have been and should have been, but he just had all that roundness in other areas, and he was harder, and he wasn't at his best, but do you know what? It's also good for the sport, and it's sad to think that Sean's no longer with us, and but Sean was an incredible bodybuilder, and also I think his shape and structure, it just like. It was bodybuilding.
Who has the best physique of all time?
I think that if you put every past Mr. Olympia on stage,
not Olympia, but just in general. I mean, was Flex Wheeler?
Flex. I'd say Flex Wheeler. And who are you going to say? Keon Pearson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a really close relationship with Patrick. Patrick Tor, myself and Patrick are really close friends. I have a huge amount of love and respect for Patrick. And it's not because we're in the same team. We've always got on really well because we've always respected each other and we're always happy for each other. It's not normal for Patrick to message me and say, hey, congratulations. He doesn't need to do that. And it's always vice versa. Yeah. I know that I upset Keon a few years ago when he competed in an Olympia, and it was his last ever placing. And I can remember seeing him in the auditorium of the hotel. It was in Florida, I think it was. It was in Florida. I think that was when he placed really bad, right? And I can remember him walking through the auditorium. The show had already come and gone. And let's be honest, he looked terrible, right? And I can remember saying to him, Keon, you look like fucking shit. I said, but you had the ability to be one of the greatest ever. And I remember giving him some motivational words of like, listen, just regather yourself, just take this on the chin, and this could be one of the best things that ever happened to you because this gives you the ability to progress from. But listen, you got a talent, don't waste it.
Was that when he was in 212 or a class?
212.
Okay.
212. Yeah.
He went to class.
He started,
Yeah, 212.
He did really. He got like 6th or 7th or 8th or something at one of the Olympias.
I think it was worse.
Yeah,
I think it wasn't certainly where he was hoping to be then.
He wasn't.
Right?
He wasn't conditioned.
Yeah, he wasn't conditioned.
I want to say it was. I think it was 22.
Do you know?
Or 23.
I don't know what it was. But the thing is, even though some people might be offended with your bluntness, like what you're going to say somebody looks good? No, you're not even off. You look fucking terrible. Yeah. Right? I don't know what's going on in your life, but get it fixed because you have a talent. And I remember saying to him, "You could be one of the greatest of all time," and I still believe that. I 100% believe that Keon could be one of the greatest because shape and structure, it is beautiful.
Is he the best 212?
Well, physique-wise.
Physique-wise, yeah.
Would he give Flex a run for his money?
I think I think structurally, Keon would beat Flex. As far as muscularity and density, it kind of equals out. You got to get those athletes.
Why was Flex so strong on stage?
He was a statuette.
Like, and is it a shape that
he was like Keon's shape is superior in the sense when you look at waist to shoulders, lat arrangement, it's just crazy and it's beautiful. But the thing is, when I look at Flex was just so perfectly perfect as like a statuette type of physique. So even though Keon's structure is superior, if you're looking at waistline, etc., I still feel that Flex's density and maturity was too much for Keon. But listen, we haven't seen Keon this year, right? And Keon's going to be
problem.
Keon's going to be much improved. So what I am going to say is, if you put Flex Lewis next to Keon, it's going to.
I don't like to compare errors.
No, I know, but I think because you're indirectly asking, and also you're talking about one of my closest athletes that I've worked with over the years, right?
You guys, I mean, your name was built off Flex Lewis in a sense. I mean, he was your first gold athlete.
Huge success.
And I mean, it's kind of like you guys worked hand in hand, you know? That's why I like to put these questions, because I asked Keon, like, who's the best 212 bodybuilder ever? He said Flex. And obviously he's gunning to change the game in 212, and it doesn't sound like he's had this thought of moving to open. Do you think today's society rushes everyone to get to a place like we sit there and say, how would Keon do it? I mean, he'd win open shows right now.
Yeah.
Do you think like someone like him should go and do the Arnold Classic next year if he won the Olympia? I know that job at hand is the Olympia.
I think that's a decision.
It's 750 Gs.
I know. I think
Do you think he could win?
what I will say is it would be wrong for me to answer that question because it's a decision that would have to be made by Patrick first before Keon. And let me tell you this, because a thoughtful and caring coach is going to think of everything and not just the potential success, right? And then also, like with Flex, even though we were focused on, goal to goal or, one show at a time, everything was prioritized as far as long-term health, long-term happiness. It was the number one thing. Keon's not doing anything reckless. I can guarantee you that, 100%. Because I know the character and the individual in Patrick. But I'm sure there's going to be a time where they step into the open division. I do feel that Keon has that ability to stay in that weight division. It's a 212 for another maybe 1 or 2 years after this year's show, I would say, maybe.
And then he'll
I think that he may struggle. But then saying that Flex 1.7, 212, Mr. Olympia.
When was he his best, Neil? Like what weight?
Flex?
Yeah. What weight was he his best before he pulled it down?
Do you know, if you look at the pictures from year 1 to year 8-7 of his Olympia wins, it's exactly the same weight.
Exactly. Okay, I know because he had to make a cap though.
Yeah.
So what's his best? Like we haven't I don't know if he's ever spilled out the 3 weeks out pictures or 4 weeks out pictures where
the best version of Flex would have been about 3 or 4 2. If I would have dried them out, because don't forget I didn't dry them out, right? But I would say 218.
All right, guys, the new flavor Buzzin' Orange is available now. You can grab this over at jcutler.com. Make sure you check it out. We're having a sale right now. Liquid L-carnitine, 3,000 milligrams. You guys want to get that crazy metabolism boost? Let's go.
218. And I would say at 218, if he would have stepped on stage that year, I think he could have won the Olympia.
Like the Open?
Yeah, I do.
Like against Phil Heath?
No, I'm talking about, no, I'm actually thinking about the year after when he was going to come, when we took off in 2019.
Oh, okay.
All right.
2020.
Yeah, 2020. That's what I'm thinking.
That was your
and
one.
Who won?
Rami won.
No, who won it that year? Brandon.
Oh, Brandon. Oh, 19.
Brandon.
19.
Brandon won it, right?
19.
And then the year after was Hadi, right?
No, year after was Rami won 2.
Oh, right. Okay.
Then Hadi won.
Then Hadi won, yeah. Because I remember seeing him at like 222, 24. He was insane. Absolutely insane. And if you look at that rear lat spread of flexes, how many bodybuilders do you know in the history of bodybuilding who's able to do a lat spread, but they still have all that crazy knotted detail still? Because when you spread that muscle, it tends to spread out and it tends to be flat. And now you're just looking at the width and taper. With Flex, he had this ridiculous knotty detail going on in his back, even in that lat spread. And he was about 223, 224. And if I would have dried him out and loaded him a bit, he'd probably been about 280.
Did you learn a lot from working with Flex?
Yeah, but
peaking someone at the highest level, because at the time that was your gold, right?
Yep.
Was him, like he was the pinnacle of 212.
Yep.
So you must learn, every year was it different?
I never looked
peaking
at
process.
I never looked at any past notes. I never looked at what
if you like us shooting conversation now.
Yep.
Like compare. Obviously he's big. Like you say, he's the same weight, but he's bigger. So like he was having trouble at the end to pull the weight down to make the cap. Correct.
Yep.
Did it hinder his physique? So did you have to change things drastically the last few years as the weight creeped up?
No, I think what we would tend to find is we would take extended periods of time away from the gym where we wasn't in the growth phase, and it was more of a maintenance, or actually it was more of a deficit. We were able to push health phases longer, and not because we needed to, because we didn't need to, because we couldn't allow ourselves in a position to build more muscle. And the thing which is a little bit sad about that is when you first started bodybuilding, and it's all about seeing change. As an athlete, of course, in the innocent years, you're excited to see the scale go up. Yeah. You're just like, what are you? I'm 240. What are you benching? Well, last week I did 2.5 plates, but now I can do 3. Yeah. It's just part of the process, right? So as an athlete, you want to be able to see that progression. We wasn't able to have that progression. So Flex would find it like just a little bit upsetting that he wanted to be a bodybuilder, but he couldn't be a bodybuilder because otherwise you can't stay in the cap. And the trouble is like you can lose, a few pounds of muscle, but you lose more than X amount. It's very difficult to bring that muscle back to alive on show day once you've made weight. And then, some shows have more of an advantage because weigh-ins are early. Some shows are opposite. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I do feel I would like to see all professional shows, weigh-ins taking place the morning before the show, not the night before the show at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Okay, it's equal for everybody. I get it. But for some athletes, it's not healthy.
No.
It's really not healthy. And it's really not healthy. And I if I would love to see the weigh-ins taking place.
Do you think it's easier to peak a bodybuilder late in the day or early in the day?
I would prefer to probably have an athlete on stage in the morning as opposed to later on in the day. Yeah, I would much prefer.
We talk about that all the time. You'll see the open guys, maybe not coming in shape year in, year out, and then you find out, well, their coach has to peak them at 9 or 10 at night, and
a lot of meals, bro.
That's hard, really hard. Yeah. So the open guys get shit on, and then they'll say, "Well, look at the 212 guy, look at the classic guys," and it's like they went on at 11 a.m.
Yeah. And it's from that, and then I'm going to contradict myself. So I would much prefer to have my athlete compete on stage than have to hold them all the way until 7, like 8, 9 o'clock at night, like the Olympia, right? Athletes step on stage at nighttime. That's a long period of time. It's equal because it's the same for everybody.
But they're not the best physiques.
I feel in the morning. And the reason why I say I would like to see the weigh-ins taking place. If athletes are competing on Saturday, weigh-ins are on Friday morning. It's really more so towards health, to be honest with you. And then also, for those people which are so close to the weight limit, if you're weighing in later in the evening, you've got literally no time to load. So it's not even just about the health aspect of things. It's about it's about the best physique. Yeah. And I know it's not equal, guys, because for some people it would be advantage and some people it wouldn't. But just for a health point of view, it shouldn't be weighing in at nighttime. This is 2025, guys. Like, seriously, this is 2025. We should be supporting health and well-being. And I know that it's a big production. I know it's like I put shows on myself. But it's possible. It really is possible. You only need 2 or 3 officials to make sure you legitimately do.
Let me ask you a question, Neil, for ego-wise. Your name stands with some of the greatest coaches. I mean, if I'm going to throw out some names, I'm going to start, Chad Nichols, Chris Aceto, George Farah, Patrick,
Hani
Rambod, now boss of Outlaw, Neil Hill. Do you feel like sometimes it's like a battle of the coaches? Like when your name's thrown out there is like, they have this coach of the year because their athletes win. What is it? Do you have an ego?
I don't have an ego.
Like, do you compare sometimes when you work with athletes, because you've obviously taken on athletes that other coaches had worked with.
Yep.
Do you look at some of the protocols of that and kind of, is that kind of the starting point with these guys? Because you asked Rafa, so what did you do? Do you bring that up, or do you just go with your own, like, as far as like foods? Obviously you ask him what foods he ate, what time he trains, what type of training. You fly to Brazil, you go and train with him, which is, you're not just a dietitian, you're an actual, you train with the guys, right?
Yep. If I take,
you have an ego?
I don't have an ego, but I am prideful.
Do you think you're one of the best?
The reason I'm
yes or no answer.
I think that my passion has.
Okay, he's saying yes.
No, I think that my passion has showed consistency with the results. But I can. But I can.
Okay to say you're one of the best.
But I can also say, Jay, I never compete against the other coaches. I can say that now. I am just doing my best for my athlete to step on stage, and you can't always give credit to a coach which is winning shows, because maybe if their athlete or athletes are consistently in shape and they're not winning, but they're progressing, that's just as much as a win as a title. It's just, unfortunately, everybody gravitates to titles. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see how many Olympia wins. Why do I do it? Because today on social media, you've got to try to stay relevant.
Wins?
You know? I don't know.
How many did you get with Brandon?
2 with Brandon.
7 flex.
7 flex, 1 with Alex Cambarero. Yeah.
He's had enters maybe a second one right now, right?
He's looking crazy.
Great.
He's
I saw him a few weeks
49.
ago.
He's 49.
Oh, bro. He came and trained with me when I was out there.
49.
I was pretty surprised, actually, because, like, you know, this guy that owns the Rule Gym there was like, hey, you know, can you come work out and whatever? And I support him. He sells my products there. And he says, oh, Alex is going to come train, you know.
Yeah.
And he's this week's out from the Masters. And I totally forgot, you know, because he won the last time when I was there in Romania, right? He won last time, right? But I always see him, I still see him as an open guy in all these other shows, right? So
Yeah.
I never thought, okay, this guy's Masters. And then when we were talking about the age and how he looks, and obviously I talked to him about, like, we posed, you know, and I said, man, you got to pose. Pose. Like, that's the one thing I said to him. I said, dude, you got the physique. You got to be able to show it, like, just first one in, last one out of the pose, you know? So important for the classic guys, you know? I mean, I got to train with Mike last year in Vegas. He comes and trains, and Mike's making crazy improvements. But not an ego thing for you. I mean, you just do what you do because you just want the best result.
Jay, I told you I'm dyslexic, right? Really bad dyslexia. And also, I am an introvert as well. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, I don't do any of those things. I don't like social media. It's not because I'm lazy, and I don't mind being out my comfort zone, because in order to progress in anything in life, you have to be out of your comfort zone. But I don't like attention. I don't like, I can switch.
You like coming on a podcast and
I
discussing?
do. Yeah, I do. I do like doing podcasts, but I also think it depends on the podcast, because if I think that the podcast brings value and it's credible and people gravitate to it for all the right reasons, of course, I'd love to be on a podcast. But if it's a podcast which is drawn by clickbait and negativity, I don't want to be a part of that, because I don't like that side of the industry, you know?
Decided when we first did this, we're not here to make anyone look bad. We're not, no, there's enough of that shit.
I have a few ambitions that I would like to hopefully witness or experience within the industry still. But I'm also hoping one day I retire.
I know but you were planting yourself in India.
Yeah.
And training
someone.
The best, like, you were training someone very important.
Yeah, very, very important. So myself and Chris Gethin were over there. We set a business up. Chris is one of my closest friends in the world. Me and Chris are very, very tight. And we basically were over there innocently. We ended up starting a company which wasn't something which was planned. And we had an incredible business, and we worked with some incredible people. And also I'm very fortunate, I think, because on paper people look at the success of the athletes and associate me with the athletes. But my client base is broad. It's
you probably train more normal people than you do top pros.
Yeah, but I also work with some very, 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 very influential influential people. And sometimes think, how did I meet this person?
I know, but like, I see you now, and like, we've been talking about travel schedule, and you're like, man, I just want to stay put. And like, you're in Vegas. Dude, we're in the best place in the world, right?
I love it here.
You left Wales, you know, you don't go. Do you have a place there still? Do you go back and forth? No, done. Okay.
I go back to my boys, see my boys and family.
Okay.
But yeah.
You can live anywhere.
Yeah.
And you chose Las Vegas, and it's not because Flex Lewis was here.
It's a couple of reasons. One, because I felt that I needed a change in my life of where I was at the time. Flex did have a part to play with it, because he said to me, Coach, listen, I'm going to move to Vegas, going to open a gym. I want to know if you would come and support the gym. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. And I have said to him in a very loving way, I didn't come to Vegas for you. I also came here to support you, but I also came because I wanted something different. I love the weather. It's an international city. It's an international destination. On paper, people think of Vegas as this crazy city. Vegas is so much more than the Strip. It's a low tax state. So that's another reason why I live here. And I find that clients want to come here, and they don't come here for a week. They come for extended periods of time. So there's many reasons why I live here in Vegas. Do I miss the coastline and do I miss the sea? Yes. But Vegas is my happy place.
Are you done going to India for lengths of time? You were?
Yeah.
What's the longest you went and stayed in India?
I lived there for 2 years, right?
Straight?
No.
Okay.
No.
You seem straight.
No. I lived in India.
Where? What
2
city?
years. I lived in Mumbai for 9.5 months. I lived in Delhi for 4.5 months, and I lived in Hyderabad, and I think I was there for about 9.5 months as well.
And where did you stay when you were there?
So the first time,
did you actually have an apartment, or?
Yeah. So the first time when I was there for 9.5 months, my clients owned the building complex. It's called the Imperial Towers in Mumbai. It's the most prestigious building in the whole of India at the time. They're huge developers. So I lived in an apartment to myself, a multi-million-dollar apartment, and I had a full-time chef who lived with me and a full-time cleaner. They lived there to look after me.
And did you have a car?
I had a driver who drove.
Because you don't drive out there.
Yeah, you would not drive, no. And then I went to Delhi, and I was there for 4.5 months. I stayed in a very nice hotel to look after a client, and then I went to Hyderabad to look after who still is the biggest South Indian actor in the whole in
Bollywood
in South India, and I lived in one of his apartments, very close to his house. I'd literally be able to walk to his home to train him. Yeah, and India was an experience. There was elements of India which was like, wow. I think what I learned about India was.
Careful.
What I learned about India is that you need to be so grateful for what you have in life, because I found it depressing.
You know what, though?
I found it very sad.
Like when I went there and I toured, I drove through the whole country, pretty much. I toured for a couple of weeks. The traffic was insane. But when you're in the nice, like when you're in that 5-star and the food, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like they come and do your laundry, and like it's very beneficial for someone like me. I could train over there and like get the food and everything, but the problem is migrating outside. You see some really sad situations, but the people are so appreciative. And like if you look at all our Instagram followings, like for example, me, Kai Green, Phil Heath, everyone that's traveled there and is recognized there, like we have a lot of respect there from a lot of people that you would never expect to follow bodybuilding.
I think for people in India, so my second client, his name is AJ Bijli. He owns the largest cinema chain throughout the whole of Asia. At the time, he owned over, and I don't know how many movie theaters he has now, but at the time he had about 1,400 movie theaters with an average of about 12 screens per cinema. The thing is, what I learned in India, people are passionate about a number of things. Family, stroke culture, religion, cricket, and movies. And what you find is because there's so much poverty and people are really doing everything they can to progress in life, when they watch movies, they look at them as a means of hope. So let's just say, for instance, Hrithik Roshan, one of Chris Gethin's most famous transformations in India, who's a movie star. He played a superhero. People would look at him as a superhero.
Real.
For real. Do you understand? For real. Because it gives them hope. So what happens is that when you have athletes like yourself, larger than life, out of magazines, they look at you as not just a celebrity, they look at you as a superstar. And then Indians in general, they tend to be thin and overweight, right?
And they're vegans.
They're vegans. So obviously, there's vegans. Most of them are vegan.
So if I'm a vegan and I say, Neil, I want you to put me on a diet for a bodybuilding show, could I do it?
Well, actually, they're vegetarians, right? They tend to be vegetarians. So you're vegan stroke vegetarians. I don't work with vegetarians anymore. Because
So you wouldn't be able to write me a diet?
I could. But I wouldn't have the passion. Because I just don't think on a health aspect of things, I don't think it's as healthy as...
That's why.
Yeah, because I just don't think it's as healthy as well, because most people are uneducated when it comes to vegetarian
What do you
diets.
think about the keto diet?
I think ketogenic diet has... let me ask you a question. How many professional bodybuilders do you know who do a ketogenic diet in the off-season?
I thought it was Dave Palumbo's thing.
Yeah, in the off-season.
I don't know any manager Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm a pro.
I'm asking for him because he's on this.
Yeah.
He goes on.
I like it.
Yeah.
Every couple months he goes on this keto thing, and then he just gets weight again.
Okay.
And then he needs to lose weight.
The reason why I kind of put the question back onto you is because I think there's two answers.
I think it's stupid.
I think that the ketogenic diet or fasting, or whatever way you want to look at it, has
You just call me stupid.
has benefits, but
Very fast results from benefits, yes,
but from the research that I've kind of looked, if you're really trying to maximize an autophagy, and you actually look at calories and foods based over a certain length of time, they kind of level themselves out. I think the problem is that somebody who's very experienced and really wants to learn, and they want to follow a fasting stroke vegan diet, I think there's some benefits from it. But most people aren't. The biggest percentage aren't. So what happens, they lose weight and then they find it very difficult. And then all of a sudden it's a roller coaster and there's a big, massive rebound.
So keto is not sustainable for long term.
I don't think it's sustainable. I think it's sustainable for long term if people are very religious. There are going to be some people which are very... And stick to it. All right?
I'd go for 2-3 months and then I fall off.
And you know what? But the thing is, it's not a sign of weakness. It's just a sign of reality as well. And
Well,
also
he doesn't have discipline.
Okay. And
I mean, I'm straight up.
I just can't care.
You just say it. You don't have discipline when it comes to food. He can't. If you put something in front of him, he just
stop.
He'll eat the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if I'm hungry, I'll
You traveled with them.
Yeah. But we've been pretty good when we travel.
We're pretty good.
Yeah.
See?
But listen, when we were in India, we were being selective, and we were also being
you have to be careful there.
Yeah, what we eat. I mean, we've had some good travels together. We haven't been on the road a lot, but we've had some good travels. But
we went to Dubai, we went to China.
And I think the other
coffee shops.
Oh, we saw coffee shops, yeah. I don't know any professional bodybuilders who are doing a keto diet in the off season, because I don't think it's an ideal environment to build muscle.
Do you think it's a year-round thing? Do you think a bodybuilder like Keon was on this podcast and he said he's doing cardio 7 days a week all year, and he's on 6 meals a day, and he doesn't fall off routine? I mean, Matt said to him, maybe we'll go get some food, and he says he can't.
I think Keon is a
machine.
He's a machine. He's the next generation of adult.
That's why, do you think he can be the greatest?
I think that there's a couple of reasons why he can be a greatest. I think one is because he's so motivated on a personal ambition of being one of the greatest that he will achieve that. That's one reason. Two, he has witnessed failure or defeat when he didn't bring a good package to the stage, and he's probably not going to want to feel like that again.
So bad feeling.
All right. He's got an amazing partner who's supportive, understanding, and she's right behind him. And that's a massive thing. And he's got an incredible coach. And he's got all this confidence. And you know what?
A lot more confidence than he had when he was on here last year.
Yeah.
There's going to be people which impact him. All right. Have a very strong impact.
He sends pictures to all these guys, me inclusive, like on updates.
But there's probably 4 people in his circle that, or maybe 5, I don't know, because I've never had this conversation, which have very strong impacts on him and care about him. Patrick, his partner, and probably 2 or 3 other people. Who they are, I don't know. But I've seen him. He trains and he's meticulous, right? He's meticulous. He's precise. He's not reckless. Everything is uniformed. He finishes training. He eats a meal. He doesn't go anywhere. He eats his meal. He doesn't miss anything.
See him in the gym pretty often training.
From time to time when I'm in the Dragon's Lair, yeah. And, it's always a pleasure seeing him. And when you've been around the industry for a long time like you guys, it's hard to get impressed sometimes because the talent, right? I just look at him and I'm like...
I'm going to ask you a question, okay? I want you to think, and I don't want you to stop too long. Name three top guys in the 212 division right now.
Keon.
Yep.
The gentleman, another one of Patrick's guys who won over in Dubai. Can't remember his name. Won the Dubai Pro.
Oh,
The young
kid.
The young guy.
Yeah, it begins with a Y.
And I'm probably still going to say Sean Carida.
Okay.
Probably.
Can you name three others?
Kereth, possibly.
Yeah.
He could be a wild
He's the
card.
best one yet.
So the reason we asked this is
yeah.
we ask about different divisions. And if you name men's physique, we could probably rattle off 20 guys' names.
Yeah.
Classic, 20 guys' names. Bikini, 10 girls. Open. When it comes to 212, there's like 2 stars.
Yeah.
Meaning Clarita.
You quickly want to say Flex Lewis.
Yeah.
But he's been gone for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then you're going, holy shit, the guys that are stars,
Yeah.
they go to the Open.
Yeah.
Because
Angel
they bought
Calderon.
right along.
Yeah.
Angel Calderon.
Yeah. Angel. Yeah.
So there are, but there isn't the star power doesn't stay.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Derek,
Yep.
Hottie,
Yep.
Bonnick, all these guys came
Yeah.
from the
212. Yeah.
and they migrated into the division that probably fits them best.
What do you think Bonnet competes at right now?
I don't know. Belnick's best look with me was 232-ish.
Was he second at the Olympia that year?
I didn't coach him that year.
Okay.
I coached him up to before that year.
Okay.
I coached him before that.
Do you think his weight's about the same now? He looked pretty incredible this year, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what?
So former client.
I think, sometimes like structure, genetics, they play a part.
Of course.
Pound for pound, I think William was one of the most genetic athletes I've ever worked with. He's incredible. Absolutely insane. Minimal amounts.
Do you think he keeps going? I don't see him slowing down, Neil. There's no regression.
Still battling.
What I found a little sad, right, is obviously me and William separated, right? There was a lot of negative press, in fact, I would say everything that was put out there wasn't even true. I'm not going to bring it up,
of course.
Right? Was not true. Completely not true. Because I think when William did that post, he emotionally wasn't thinking properly. All right? I was sad when I saw William going backwards with his physique. And I couldn't understand it because I was like, his body's young. Like, why is this he's going backwards? And it wasn't because I wasn't coaching him. I think there was things going on in his life at the time, or whatever he was doing wasn't working.
Yeah.
But then it seems last year he started to get that momentum back, and his physique is starting to, it's starting to click again. And I'm really happy to see that. I think he's made a massive positive impression on the judges, which is really important. I think at the time, at one point, he was kind of going backwards. He wasn't finding that form. He didn't have that William Bonnick muscle belly pop, and he has to have that pop because structurally he's a little short. He's a little, narrowish clavicles, and he needs that muscle. But you also got to find that blend where you don't become too blocky. Last year I thought you looked great at Olympia, and he just seemed to momentum and snowball further. He's had a great 2025.
Arguably could be the bodybuilder of the year, honestly.
Yeah, probably. I think that William, to me, would be the comeback of the year because most people won't be able to regather themselves. And also, I coach William. I know his personality, man. He's so driven. So different. I think his if something frustrates me, I can tend to get motivated, but not reckless. I'm not reckless with how I motivate myself. I think when something frustrates William, it just drives him and becomes more determined. Maybe his focus is, providing for his family. Maybe his focus is my physique wasn't doing what it was for a length of time, and now it's coming back, and I'm just more and more excited. I don't know. I've never questioned William's work ethic, because he worked his ass off in the gym. I think he more than deserves comeback of the year, 100%. And maybe, I would say that he probably would be athlete of the year, to be honest with you, so far.
So since we're talking about Open and you got a great eye, talk about this year's Olympia coming up. The guys, this is I don't know if you can really say there is a
Who's the best built body in the IFBB open class right now?
If I have to say, okay,
physique-wise.
Well, I think structurally, but I think there's a little bit of flaw there. I would say structurally, but there are gaps. So I'm going to break it down in two different ways, right? Andrew Jack and also Half L have just got this beautiful flow to their physiques, but I also feel that Half L needs more hamstring, needs a bit more density, needs more calves. I feel that Andrew structurally is incredible, but he has gaps. You put him in certain poses, and there is a lot of gaps there. Structurally great, but in certain poses he's shallow. As far as completeness, I still get drawn to Samson because he doesn't really have any weaknesses. I like to see a little bit more peak in his bicep, but he's got a beautiful flow, and he represents the industry really, really well.
Really well.
Really well. Probably one of my favorite athletes in the industry. Yeah. He is doing amazing. Do I think that he's just trying to pick up paycheck? I don't think so. I think he just loves competing, and I think he's somebody who wants to represent the industry, and I think he feels, and I don't know because I don't know the gentleman to have the conversation. When I look at him, I think he loves competing and he wants to give back.
Do you think he's a genetic freak?
Yeah, I think he is a genetic freak.
That's not substance that makes him.
I don't think so. No. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. I don't think.
He looks huge all the time.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was maybe pushing the envelope, on some occasions. But I look and think that's just no. This guy is a genetic freak, and I also think that
can anyone beat him? At this
I think there is. I think there's a couple of athletes which could beat him. I still feel that I was at the Arnold, and I was pretty close. I felt that Samson gave that title away by not keeping his legs tight enough. When he came out on his own, straight away I thought, "That's a winner," straight away, and you shouldn't really do that, right? Then when you put them in the lineup, straight away my eye got drawn to Samson. But I felt that he was fading, not necessarily because he was fading because maybe he was undercarbed or he was dehydrated. And I don't think it was a confidence thing. I just felt that he wasn't engaging as much as he should have done. He's got to be super engaged in his lower half, I feel, to keep eyes on him. And I feel a lot of the time he wasn't engaged in his lower half. And I was thinking, like, squeeze your legs. There's going to be a lot of confidence in coming from Derek because Derek beat him and it was a fair result. Yeah. It was a fair, nobody could argue that wasn't a fair result. And I think that I'm not saying that Samson was off. I just felt he wasn't engaging as much as he should have been engaging in his
Can
muscles.
Hadi beat either of those two? Derek or Samson?
I still feel that he can. But it's, guys, is he
going to be able to get here?
What, sorry?
Is he going to be able to get here?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he going to be able to get here? Yeah, questionable. Don't know.
Okay, then let's talk about...
And then let me also say about Nick.
I was just going to say,
okay,
Nick Walker.
listen, guys.
He's got a head of steam.
There's arguments to say he could have won in... he could have won in Pittsburgh. So my point is, if he could have won in Pittsburgh, and some people say he should have, some people said it was close, but let's say it was 50-50. Well, you've got a 50-50 athlete who's going to have so much confidence, so much determination, he could win the whole freaking show.
You got a 50-50 athlete against a guy who just beat the reigning Mr. Olympia.
Do you think Nick Walker can win the Mr. Olympia if the stars align correctly?
I do think they could. But
would it surprise you?
I think
he would need everything to be perfect in the lineup, meaning all the guys would have to miss a little bit.
Yeah. I will say that I don't like Nick's structure. I prefer the structure of the other athletes. But you can't hold that against an athlete because, damn, guys, it's genetics, right? I think Nick would be an amazing Mr. Olympia. I think he would be an incredible Mr. Olympia. I just think structurally it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be a challenge.
Is it exciting for you to sit back and you work with a lot of these guys to know that now, like, the same Mr. Olympia doesn't automatically win every year? Don't you feel like now it's the judging has not done favoritism for the champion as much?
I think the judges are doing a great job within that open division, to be honest with you. And I don't think they cannot, because I tell you why, because it's too close, Jay. There's not a standout winner. That's the problem. There's not a standout winner.
Like it's always if someone's on or off, right?
It depends on, who's on and off. I think that
no one's perfect, right?
No one's perfect. If Samson comes in 100% on the money, I feel he's going to win. I think he's going to be challenged.
But it's not like Ronnie Coleman come every year and it's like, oh, he's slam dunk, he's going to win.
No,
right?
it's not.
Or Phil Heath.
100% not. No. I did like the eras when you guys were dominating. I got to be honest, I did. Because I tell you why. I saw something crazy.
I know.
I saw something crazy. And it wasn't just muscle. It was the blend of everything, conditioning, muscle. Like, it was like, what the was that? And it wasn't freaky where it was too much.
Pretty cool to be the guy that was like on the side of it.
And then what you're finding, you're getting that in other divisions. That's what you're getting now.
So I'm going to ask you this. What is your favorite division right now?
My favorite division?
Because you train guys in every division. So, I mean, is Mike in the driver's seat to win this Olympia? I think there is. And tell me about last year. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Did he have a good shot to win it last year? Did you see flaws in Bumstead?
I think that Mike is getting a lot of harsh criticism at the moment. Because
he hasn't competed since the Arnold.
No. What I mean by that is 2-3 years ago, shape, structure, everything there needs more muscle maturity. We briefly spoke about it, right? We had our first proper off season in 2023. We made the 2023 through to 2024. We stepped on stage last year, and he brought a new look to the stage. So that's because we were able to have a proper off season. Do I think that he challenged Chris? I think he pushed Chris right to the max, really to the
Where
max.
did he beat Chris?
I think he beat Chris from the rear. I think he beat Chris in his core stroke midsection.
Only so many poses in Classic, bro.
The shape and structures are different, guys. They're not even comparable. You can't.
So do you think if Chris came back this year, like Mike would give him a big run?
I think if Chris came back in any year, and not because he's Mr. Olympia, because he's got a beautiful shape and structure.
Yeah. But do you think Mike would give him a harder run this year?
I feel personally that we were improved in the Arnold, and that was the comments back from judges. Because listen, if you cannot ask for constructive comments from the judges which are making decisions, then that's a pretty sad situation. The unanimous decision or opinions of the judges, he's more improved than he was at the Olympia. He's even better at the Arnold than Olympia. That was their opinions, all right? Or do we want to be better than this? Of course we do. But I also think there's 5 or 6 guys who could win the classic division this year.
Ooh.
Okay, so I still Ertz is going to potentially be a threat. All right, I think he's got a lot of weaknesses in his physique. To be honest with you, I think he has got weaknesses.
Still a threat, though.
Yeah, he's still a threat. He's still a threat. All right, so you got Ertz.
The kid that gets second.
You got Ramon.
Ramon, for sure.
You can't forget about Ramon.
They keep forgetting about Ramon.
Yeah, Ramon. Then you've got Niall from the UK, who looks absolutely insane. Then you've obviously got Mike.
Logan.
Logan. You've also got Terrence.
And what about the kid?
Which kid?
Matt Grego.
Oh, Matt Grego. I think Matt is battling for a top 4 to 3rd. I just don't know at the moment. He's got that shape to be. Listen, Brian's always going to be a wild. He's not even going to be a wild card. The guy's always in shape, and he's got a beautiful.
Is Ruffin the biggest competition this year for Mike?
I think that
him coming back after.
No, I tell you what. I think there's. No, I don't. I think there's 5 or 6 guys which are the biggest trouble for any athlete. If somebody's just going to single out Ruff.
Well, I only looked at Ronnie Coleman.
Okay, because
there's no Ronnie Coleman in this division.
Because I thought that Ruff looked great this year, but he needs to be more conditioned. I think that he has to be more conditioned. He's got to come in tighter.
Do you think his skin?
No, I think he will, because I've seen him sharper, and I'd like to see him come in his all-time best. Because I think that in order for anyone to be able to say, I am Mr. Olympia. I want to see all the guys. Would I be disappointed if we don't see the result? Yeah, but guys, I'm a fan and I love bodybuilding. I want to see the best.
Will
athletes
the guy that wins get credibility though? Because it's kind of like when Dorian Yates retired. It's like Ronnie Coleman won, and
I think they will.
It's not solidified because the former champ retired?
No, I don't think it will be like that. Because even though I do feel that Chris maybe, I wouldn't say that he dominated, but there was a couple of Olympias where say, oh, winner. Okay, but he got challenged a little bit in a couple of shows. Yeah, in some of them. Last year, I think that Mike pushed him to the wire, really pushed him. I think that the depth now is even higher than it was last year. So there was Mike who really stepped up a mark. And I do feel that we're going to be even improved this year. But I also feel that there's other athletes which are improving. So I feel that I don't think for 1 minute the era of Chris Bumstead is come and gone.
Do you think he'll come back, Neil? Or
I don't know. I don't think I would want to see Chris come back, and I tell you why. Because he's a father, right? He's just got married, hugely successful in business. That it's not that I wouldn't want him to come back because I'd be afraid that he doesn't succeed in winning another title. It's got nothing to do with that. I just think that I want him to enjoy being a dad and being a husband and running his businesses. And there's nothing to gain from it. I think, and that's why, because if he came back in 1 or 2 years' time, just say the stars align and Mike is fortunate to win the Olympia this year and maybe next year, and Chris comes back and wins, I would be really happy and excited for the result for Chris, because it would be a huge achievement. Would I be disappointed and sad? No, how could you? Because I love bodybuilding. I just want to see the best athlete win. And sometimes you can't get clarity. Like, how is this athlete placed like this? And like, you can't get your head around it. Just,
do you see a lot of bad calls, or over the years you've seen some?
You don't
have to get particular, but
I feel that there's been times where because you
were a judge. You were a judge.
I judge professional shows. I would say there's very few shows where I've seen, I think, how could that possibly go that way? I think there's been times on multiple occasions it's been close. It's been close, and I would have had it the other way around. There's been on the odd occasion where I'm like, I don't even see how that was possible. I'd have to really put some thought to come up with my opinion on what show it would be, because you're asking me, and it's not because I don't want to answer the question. I don't want to answer the question incorrectly because I haven't taken the time to think about who could I say. Okay, Steve Cutler won the Arnolds back in Brazil many years ago. I cannot see how that guy won.
Do you think I should have beat Victor Martinez in 2007?
I wasn't there. I wasn't at the show.
It's a great answer.
I wasn't there.
No.
Listen, I wasn't there.
Do you think I should have won 2001 Mr. Olympia?
What did you place?
Second.
When him and Ronnie.
When I was ahead by 6 points at the prejudging.
Who beat you, sorry?
Ronnie Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman. I think you should have won that show. But I'm going off videos, pictures.
Yeah.
Because I
it was after you saw me at the English Grand Prix.
From that show I remember, yes. And the following year you won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably should have won that show. Or I would have said that I felt that you won that show. Yeah.
I got Neil Hill on my side,
But like when you look at pictures and videos, it's not always the same, right?
Not even close.
Because I'll be at shows and I'll be like, I don't agree with what I just saw.
Do you have an athlete that looks way better on stage than in pictures? Doesn't tell the details. Can you think of one of your athletes?
I think there's a few athletes. Mike is one of those people,
what's crazy is I thought like Keon sat here and like I've been kind of pro for him to go with the open and just to test the waters, but then he posed next to Rafa the other day at the gym, and there's big size difference.
Yeah.
Rafa's got the crazy legs,
Yeah.
Do you train Rafa's legs as hard when he has quads that dominant when he needs hamstring work?
I think it depends on the workout. I've had some time with half since he's been here, but he's been training with Keon quite a bit.
Okay.
And the reason being is that I need to make sure that I'm able to give time to everybody, and some people don't feel like that one athlete's getting more than the other. I need a lion training with Hafel.
Are you happy that he's training with Keon?
Yeah. Because I've seen Keon train. Keon's not reckless. He's very precise. He's very driven. He will do the reps that are needed. And I think because he's kind of probably setting the pace, he's trying to, when you walk into a gym and you train with somebody, it's not always about who's the strongest. The perfect training partner is the person which his level of intensity in that set is so high, you have to do the same.
Do you know who Matt said would be the best trainer of anyone?
Who's that?
Flex.
He said Flex Lewis, if he trained
best
people.
Trainer.
Yeah, he probably could be.
Because remember, Matt went and trained at Dragon's Lair when he had when he was in
Florida. He was with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's just one of those guys you can tell he knows the movements and he knows how to get the best out of people. You can see it. I've said this over and over. I said he would be the best in person, kind of like how Dorian does with something.
Yeah.
If people came here and said, zip it, do what Flex tells you to do.
Yeah.
You agree with that? I mean, you mentored him.
Well, yeah, but the thing, I think we mentored each other,
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you were...
I think that...
Did you ever tell him, like, you should be a trainer, or...
I'm not saying he's, but...
No, but, like,
because
he has a lot of value to give to people.
Listen, Flex loves bodybuilding. When Flex was an athlete, guys, seriously, he loved people training with him. He loved people seeing progress. And that's a really beautiful quality, right? And the other thing is, well, Flex has nurtured a lot of future athletes over the years. He did it for a couple of reasons. I think one, because he saw himself as that person when he first started training, and how maybe people impacted him when he was in the US, or, in the US innocently.
He came to my house and decided he wanted to be a pro bodybuilder to come to my house. He
also wanted to be challenged. He wanted to be challenged in the gym when it came to intensity, and he thrived on that. And also, when somebody was doing their working set, he would be in that set emotionally and mentally with them as well. Do I think that I had a part to play with it? I don't know. Maybe not. But whatever it is, to have those qualities as a person, it's because it comes from within, right? And I know that Flex loves seeing people progress.
What do you like the best? Do you like being behind a computer and putting the diets together, or do you like the hands-on?
I much prefer
in the gym training.
Yeah, I like my time in the gym with the guys. I like my personal time.
How many hours a week do you commit to?
I don't do a lot of time in the gym. When I have
see
athletes.
A lot when you have people in.
Yeah, because I got athletes in from overseas. I don't ever put that out there. So, if somebody reaches out and says, "Hey, I want book sessions with you," then I'll. As long as I
offer that,
I will offer it.
Like if someone's watching this right now, if they want to come to Vegas and train with you, can they book a time?
Yeah, they can. They can.
How do they do that?
Just shoot me a private message on Instagram. It's as simple as that.
Does it happen pretty often?
It will happen a couple of times a month. I just don't put it out there so people are aware of it.
Well, now everyone's going to.
And that's my favorite time. And that was my favorite time.
You know what could make you the greatest coach of all time? If you could get me in shape.
Listen, I could get you in shape.
But did you ever hear of uncoachable people?
I've worked with some. I've worked with somebody. I think. Listen, everyone's got personality.
Is there such a thing as uncoachable?
I think there are some uncoachable people. Yeah, there are some people which I think are uncoachable, which have probably challenged my patience, so to speak, right? I think that I'm a strong personality. I'm very direct. I don't bullshit, but my heart is good. So you have to, you got to put things in perspective and listen to what.
Are you going to retire as a coach?
I think.
Or do you think you'll continue to coach people till the end of time?
No, I feel I've got another 10 years in me. I've not got any less passion about what I do now than what I did all those years ago. I'm still excited and passionate, and I wouldn't say that I love helping people. I think for me is that if you believe something is possible, and maybe that person doesn't believe it is, and you're able to emotionally and mentally connect with that person and bring the best out, and you see them evolving and progressing and reaching that goal that maybe you thought was possible, that is what gives me my fix. That's 100%. Because going back to my dyslexia in school, I struggled, right? I really struggled. All I wanted the teachers to do is read the question or read the literature. Let me listen, let me process, ask me the question, and let me answer it. But I couldn't. So I had like huge insecurities in certain areas of my life. So I had to be an overachiever in the things that I could do. And I have to achieve them. I have to. And I'm never in my comfort zone. I need to be out my comfort zone, because if you're in your comfort zone, how can you feel good that you've done something? Because you're still in the same place. Yeah. It's not challenging. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not challenging. And for me, if I believe in something and it happens, that makes me feel like that happened. I was a part of it. I don't need to be a part of the attention. I don't need a pat on the back, because if you do something good, you know you've done it, right? You don't need somebody to give you applause or whatever. If it happens naturally, it happens. I don't need that attention. I don't seek it. Flex will tell you probably one of my worst qualities is when something happens and it's successful. Flex, go out. It's like, no, I don't. Go on. Now you've got to, no. They were there with you.
Well, you're introverted.
I don't want to do that, mate. I don't know.
All right,
come on.
I have one more question for you. Last question. If you had top two guys in a division,
yep,
you're training both, could you handle that?
Yeah. I've had athletes.
Have you had it?
I've had athletes competing against each other, which
but
maybe
finished 1-2.
No,
like, you done me and Phil Heath that year? Like, you know, we like Hani took us on and we were like,
yep,
top two.
I 100% could coach somebody who is going to be competitive against first and second, and I've been in position
to.
I don't like being in that position. No, but you know why? Because what it is, there are some people that you gravitate to more because you just have that emotional attachment, right? Me and Flex have a very unique relationship. Myself and Mike have a because we worked together for 6.5 years. You're not just coaching somebody on their bodybuilding ability to step on stage. You're also nurturing somebody and you're because you're a life coach in other areas. So what happens, what I don't like is when I have a very close relationship with an athlete who's going to be competing against another athlete, not because I'm favoring one more than the other. I just need to make sure that I switch off from my
neutral,
my friendship. Because I will, Jay, if you were my athletes, I would never coach one more than the other to win. I'd say, guys, listen, I'm going to give you the best advice as I can for each person.
I know, but you're going to align with one better than the other for sure.
Yeah, I will do emotionally, but I cannot do that on a professional level, because if I don't feel like I'm giving the right advice when I need to give it,
you're not going to sabotage.
It's not going to sit well with me. I'm not trying to be a good Samaritan here. I'm not a perfect human being,
principle.
But I have to see results. How can I guarantee that you're going to win? I got to put the same attention in. And also you'll see that on my post, I always put team, right? It's an individual sport, but if you're in my team, you've got to be respectful to everyone, guys. You respect everybody. Step on stage, you do your thing, but I don't want any negativity. I've dropped clients in the past because I feel like your personality doesn't fit in the team. Like, it's not going to work for me. It's just no, it's not good. Yeah.
Anything else?
It's awesome, man.
I appreciate it.
We finally got to get you on here.
Guys,
we got to get Flex as the next. Yeah. We've been asked, we're kind of like, Flex now, we've noticed, has gone through transitional, and he's like now past the competition stuff. He can't because he's all torn up half the time now. So it's like every time I see him, he's in the brace or this, that. Yeah. You know, and I've listened to your story, and honestly, I learned about you mainly from the relationship with Flex, but you have so much more to your career and so much. I mean, people probably don't realize you're training a lot of these top guys and, you know, all these divisions. So that's why I wanted to ask you, like, what's your favorite division? Do you think the classic physique is the most competitive at this point?
I think the classic physique is the most competitive.
Because the guys are all shredded and they look great and they're at a weight cap. Like in the open, it's like you just don't know what you're going to get, right?
I'm going to say that to me, classic physique is the most exciting at the moment. But I'll also say over the last couple of years, the open division has become really, really exciting as well. So my favorite divisions at the moment is classic and open, because I just think there's a number of guys in that open who could win. And I also feel, let's just say hypothetically, in no order, we've got Nick, Hadi, Derek, and Samson. But then from 5th upwards to 10th, guys, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah. Okay.
right?
So who give us the surprise that could fall in the 5th, 6th. I mean, we don't put Andrew Jack. Andrew Jack has to be in that conversation a little bit because I feel like even at a percentage,
Structurally,
he still gets placed, right?
Yep.
Who can surprise? I mean, is it Rafa? Is it Regan? Is it who's the guy? Tonio? Is it? Is it Bonnet?
Is it Behruz if he gets here?
Yeah. I think that
I just named all the guys that could be any one of those placings.
Okay, I was going to say who's from 5th. I was going to go straight away. I was actually going to say William's going to be my strongest pick to go. To be there because I think that
and Densey.
Yeah, because I mean his form is there.
Yeah,
he's done a great job, man, of bringing this physique back to life. And I'd like to see William back in that top 5. Obviously Andrew's there. Is it Victor from Brazil? The guy's a freak.
Oh, good Vito.
Yeah, good Vito, right? Good Vito.
I don't know about the shit though. Like
it's his lower back. I've seen him against Hafel. Hafel has superior structure.
Like Rafael, like is he filling out now? Like he was leg dominant, also like Flex was. I feel like
I feel Hafel still needs another. I feel Hafel needs to be here in the US.
Because he would train more.
I think there's too much. I think there's too much noise.
Get him on the podcast.
We'll get him on soon. I went back and forth.
I think he's coming back after a minute, right? Yeah.
I honestly feel that if Hafel was here with no distractions, and I had 110% commitment from him, I honestly think that he would be the talk of the show. But he needs to be here.
How do you say his name?
Hafel Brando. Hafel.
Say it wrong.
So people say we call him
Looks
Raphael.
like Raphael, but
yeah.
Hafel.
So it's the way that they actually pronounce it, and you're talking about somebody who's dyslexic. So I've done a pretty good job here. It's Hafel Brando, but people call it Raphael.
Well, he studies this. He even knows Andrew Jack's name. Do you know Andrew Jack's
name?
Yeah.
Chinia du Obieki.
Really?
That's his name.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. So I quizzed him. I said, Matt, what's his name? He came on, Andrew, and he's like, I said, what's his name? Because I didn't know. I introduced him Andrew.
Yeah, that's his real name. Yeah.
So what's
he has to think about it, right? So I say it again.
Chinia du Obieki.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, you did a good job of it, man.
Hey, you got it.
It's like Angelica too.
They always say her name wrong. Her last name is Teixeira.
Oh, is it?
And they always say Texiera or Teixeira.
It's an accent, right? Or
okay. Teixeira. It's Brazilian. Yeah.
And Alex is his name. His name isn't Alex Cabranero. What is it?
Fellow Cambrero. Yeah, Fellow Cambrero.
We call him Alex, right?
Yeah, we call him Alex Cambrero.
Big Rami's real name. You probably know that because you worked with him.
I worked for him for a brief time at a time. Yeah.
It's Mamdua.
Oh, is it?
Mamdua Elsbay.
I just used to call him Big Ram. I could never pronounce it. One of my greatest fears here that you would ask
you say
me.
Someone's name
you would ask me, so who you work with this year? Yeah. Thinking, I don't remember his name.
You know what I love, though?
This guy is from this country, and this guy is from that country.
You know what I love, though? So when Angelica did her final show at the Arnold, David Bay was the MC, and he always knew how to say her name right.
Okay.
Nobody else did. So her final show...
Yeah.
Her name was pronounced correct.
So all those winnings she had, it was pronounced.
Angelica Teixeira. It's not Teixeira. It's Teixeira.
Okay, cool. Something new I've learned from today's podcast. Can I say something before we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Guys, I want to say a real sincere thank you for allowing me on the podcast. And I sincerely say that. I'm actually tearing up a little bit because it's like a huge, I wouldn't say accomplishment, but it's a huge honor to be a part of what you guys are doing. And you guys are doing incredible things in the industry. I know what you don't probably realize is that it's not normal for your names to be brought up in conversation, and it's always positive, right? It's always positive. It's always consistent. And I think that the industry owes a huge amount of what you guys are doing presently, what you've done in the past. And I know, and I have no doubt you're probably doing some really crazy, exciting things in the future. All right. I also want to say a massive thank you to all the clients and athletes that I've worked with over the years. I am so grateful that people have given me the opportunity to work with them, as well as the companies that I've been associated with. And
shout out your sponsors.
Yamamoto Nutrition, big shout out to those. I've been with Yamamoto now, I think 6 years, possibly 6-7 years. They've been an incredible company to ride the wave with, and I'm very grateful and very proud. Also, BioWell, a new company to me within the peptide industry, which is a very exciting industry to be in. MegaFit Meals, they've been incredible to me over the years. They've always been very, very supportive of everything I do and the athletes that I've worked with. And, you know, the thing is as a company, if you look at the depth of talent which is in that team within MegaFit Meal, it's synonymous. It speaks louder than anything I can possibly say. You're a massive part of obviously the brand as well. IFBB Pro League, NPC Worldwide, and all the other exciting, you know, members and people in the industry which make this industry keep growing. And I want to say good luck to all the athletes in every single division. Doesn't matter what division you're competing in. I'm looking forward to watching you all as a spectator and a fan, and watching you showcase your hard work. And that's what I would like to say on a personal note.
And what about Wales?
I'm very proud to be Welsh.
There's people from Wales watching this. I'm sure that tune in because you're on here.
I think everybody from Wales and the UK, I have never forgotten where I'm from. You know, I'm very proud to be Welsh. I'm very proud to be British. And, you know, I kind of said, you know, maybe an hour ago that I kind of like lost touch a little bit of the UK. And the reason I say that is that I've never lost touch of the industry. I've just been busy doing my thing, but I do notice what takes place. I do see the talent. I do see that the coaches out there, you know, 2 coaches that I want to give a shout out to is Zach. Zach's one of my closest friends, Zach Thorthorham, and Callum. These guys are doing an amazing job over there. Yeah. Well, you met them with you know, very close friends of mine. Great people. You know, they're doing big things over there with Pro Coach in Europe. And it makes me very proud to see the next generation of coaches coming from Europe, more so obviously the UK, and seeing people, you know, mature. Because I think sometimes what happens is that sometimes people get all the credit, and there's a lot of amazing coaches out there. There's a lot of amazing athletes out there who don't always compete, right? And I think it's, you know, it's a little bit sad sometimes. I know it's life because it is what it is, but I respect you all, and it makes me feel prideful and excited at the same time to see that the talent is just accelerating. So I want to say a big shout out to all you guys. Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, we appreciate it, man. So we'll have you back on again, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, we need to get you to come back on after a show so we can get a
little breakdown.
Right, yeah. We'll get you on here. We'll get you on here with a group of people, and you guys can all argue.
Okay. And you got to get Flex on, because I know he would. Listen, he's been a massive part of the industry,
of course,
you know, for a long time, and he still is in the industry. I mean, the Dragon's Lair is literally 3, 4, 5 minutes away.
Well, it's iconic. Yeah, he
fixed.
You know what he does. You know, I remember he called and told me, "Hey, I'm going to come to Vegas and open a gym, and I know it's your territory and whatever else." And I was like, "Welcome," you know. And obviously he's created a crazy culture over there. Like, I mean, they just said the USA's, and I know everyone was training over there, but when you have the Mr. Olympia champs, I mean, you had Nick Walker training there, and you have Keon training there, and all these new. I mean, Christina's there; she's phenomenal. Who else we lead? There's a ton of people there that are working out on a daily basis. Yourself, I mean, you're bringing in all your athletes. Yeah, Rafa's there.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool. I think Dave's actually shooting him today, actually.
Okay.
He's doing a session with him for
J Cutler TV.
So, but listen, man, it's we look forward to it. We'll definitely do it again. And, congratulations on all the success. We look forward to seeing this Olympia as you build up your athletes for it. And I'm sure there'll be many, many more. But your message is definitely something that we wanted to come across, like, and show, hey, the passion's there, right? And that's what it's all about. And, you know, you have obviously your methods on how you do things, but everyone's individual. And, you know, you've created a lot of great champions in collaboration with, you know, their hard work and determination. So, like I said, we wish you the best, and, keep putting that message out there.
Thank you, James.
Keep killing it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We're out. was a long one. 2 hours and
Thank you.